this is my first experience with this orchestra, and I must say it's just a world-class, wonderful instrument that the maestro has put together over these years here. Obviously that it comes from a lot of very, very hard work, but as a guest you come and you're able to make music right away. Everybody is participating. This is a really wonderful feeling, the most wonderful energy and sensitivity and rapport with music. One of the joys of working with different orchestras is to find orchestras that still have a personal sound, that don't sound the same as one another. And that's the marvelous thing about music, you know. However, having said that, I really believe in the internationalism of great music. So, I mean, whilst the English orchestras, for example, will know the Elgar symphonies very well, and will play them from a knowledge of 100 years, you know, playing them all the time. I come to this great orchestra in Hungary, and it's the first time. That's not to say the music isn't going to sound as good. And in fact, in many ways, it might sound better because we're meeting the phrases for the very first time. I hear things that are different, and I'm not having to fight any old British traditions, however good they may be. Delius is not played very much outside of England, so the exposure is not yet so great. I mean, Elgar symphonies are not very well known still, although we have to remember that Toscanini conducted Elgar, you know, Barenboim, Bernstein. I mean, it's an international music by now. You know, if you look at these three composers, Elgar, Delius and Britten, they're completely different personalities. You know, Delius went to Florida, and he was sent to an orange grove in Florida. He wrote a piece about Florida, you know. Can you hear that in his music? I don't know. He had great influence. French music was a great influence of his. In Elgar you can hear Wagner, you can hear sometimes Debussy, Brahms, you know. So there is this international dialogue going on. Britten, the concerto was written whilst he was in the United States during the war. Is there any influence of American music there? Sometimes you feel a little bit jazz. The Delius, the challenge is that it's incredibly simple music, with very little direction given by the composer, just notes. So it requires an incredible contribution of every musician to use their musicianship. It's music which is very free, very rubatoed, and has to be spontaneous and improvised, composed at the moment, really, very sensitive. The Britten has a lot of virtuoso challenges for the orchestra, as well as it being a very difficult piece for a pianist. You know, Richter played it, recorded it with Benjamin Britten conducting. I mean, it's a very hard piece to play, but the challenges, as always with Benjamin Britten, are what he writes for the orchestra. He loves to challenge an orchestra, the winds, the strings. They have a lot of technically difficult things to do. The Elgar requires an incredible understanding of the musical language, and it is virtuoso music sometimes, very busy for the orchestra. Everybody is playing something. So the challenge is to find the balance, is to find the musical language beyond the beautiful sound of the music. We must not be satisfied with the beauty of the sound. It's trying to focus on the musical integrity and the language, and trying to get the extreme dynamics from Elgar. That when Elgar composes, for one moment he's being very open and generous, and then suddenly he becomes frightened and retreats inside. So there's the intimacy that we have to discover of his music. So three very, very different styles of English music.